and welcome to this week's DW podcast. Thanks again to everyone that's tuned in previously. If you're watching it on iTunes or Spotify, please subscribe and like it and continue to listen going forward. This week I've got my first guest, actually not my first guest, but one of my first guests that isn't from Lanarkshire. So we've brought him to Lanarkshire just to scare him a little bit. I'm joined by Ross Leighton, who is the singer and frontman, guitarist in Fatherson. The band tour, well, you can tell us, Ross, tell us a wee bit about Fatherson.
So we're not from Lancashire, we're from Ayrshire, so we're from Kilmarnock, and yeah, we've been a band since we were kids, kind of rock band, just about our third full-length album, and just did some touring in the UK and the United States and stuff like that, so that's what we've been up to recently, but yeah, been in a band since we were kids, and continue to be.
Did you all meet at school, or what was the story there?
Yeah, so we all met primary school, actually. But Mark, so I'm from Irvine originally, Greg's from Rutherglen, and Mark's from Rossi, or Isle of Bute, or whatever. Right, okay. And then we all moved to this primary school in Kilmarnock at primary 2. And then
that's bizarre, eh? These are different places, and yeah. It's fate.
Fate, something like that. So we just met. Started becoming actual pals. Like, there were guys I went to school with started becoming actual pals when we were like 11 or 12, and then started a band when we were like 13 or 14, and that was like 12 years ago. So
where's it went, eh? Exactly.
Well, it's still got a bit of life in it, but no, it's been fun. It's taken us all around the world.
Has he still got on? These are still pals.
We're still pals, and you know what? See, because we have been friends since we were so young. And because at that point, like, all your pals at school, like, come over after school and you do that sort of stuff. So it's like, you become family with each other and family with their family and stuff like that. So there's never been any thing that we couldn't have got over, and there's never been any argument that hasn't been dealt with like it would be a wee brother or whatever. Totally. Don't be like, shut up. And they go, right, you shut up. And go,
can you imagine, like, especially your touring schedule, you're all over the place. So it must be, you're totally in each other's heads every minute of the day, aren't you?
I reckon that, that's an interesting thing, because of the last, there are definitely two people in the world I've spent the most time with, which is class. But we've never not wanted to do that. Do you know what I mean? There's been periods of time, and there's still periods of time, we're not the biggest band in the world, so like, you really need to be like, I want to do this. So when you spend 250 days a year minimum with each other, you need to be able to go on with each other. So it's never really waned. It's been fine. Just like, I think as you get older, you understand how you deal with your own time and how you go like, well, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. So folk just let you get on with it. Totally. Just as long as you're in the van at the time everyone needs to leave, you pretty much do whatever you want.
Do you remember your first practice? You said you were, 13?
I do remember my first practice. I think it was in, because I wasn't the singer, Mark was the singer. We both had SGs. And we were like, I don't know, School of Rock must have come out around about that time, like 2004, 2005. So it must have been like what inspired the SG. And then my little brother played bass. This guy called William Graham was playing keys. And Greg was going to be the band manager / drummer. We didn't have a drum kit. So the first practice was in Willie's front room. And we just like all brought our amps and we just played as loud as we could against each other. It would never did anything. But that was maybe, we were originally, when we were like 10 or 11 years old, called Not Only Good Looking. So that was the first NOGL.
Called that, eh?
Exactly, not even good looking. So the NOGL was the first incarnation. We were like,
you had an abbreviation as well. Is that
oh cool? God, we had artwork, we had a track list for an album we never wrote. We were going for it, and then that pied it, and then we became a band called Energy, and then that was the three of us, and that took us up until maybe like 18, and then we had just sold Tuts out for the first time, and we were like, class. And the guy, he never managed this for maybe a year or two after that, but was giving us some advice. He was like, that name's terrible. We were like, I know the name's terrible, but everyone kind of knows this is it and stuff like that. He's like, what to do is...
And was it full energy or was it energy?
Oh, no, not energy. No, it was energy exclamation mark. We made a big point of the exclamation mark because that says on Bebo and MySpace, wherever you can find us easier. But then I tried Google energy as a small band. You're never going to get that. So we were going on tour with a band called Idlewild, and he was like, what to do is you've sold out Tuts, announce at Tuts that you're changing the name, and then the following week go on tour with Idlewild as that new name. So then you've got this bit of press that goes from this band from Kilmarnock, it's just sold out at King Tut's, change their name to Fatherson, straight on tour with Idlewild, and then sort of kick off. So that'd been good. Like over that 6 months prior to that, we'd support Feeder a couple of times and we'd support a couple of people. So we were kind of like, and we were out of school. Do you know what I mean? See, when you're a band in school, it's kind of easy to be a band. Not easy, but it's like everyone goes, oh, I'm going to go see that band because they're at my school. Or you do like...
It's easier to sell tickets almost.
100%, because you're doing gigs in Kilmarnock, or you're doing gigs even in the school. Do you know what I mean? So folk can come and see, and you go like, oh, will anyone come to this gig in Prestwick? And like 30 people come, you're like, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
If one person's going, they're all going.
Oh, that's exactly it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, oh no, that's what we're doing this weekend. There's like 50 kids getting the train down from Kilmarnock and then all the kids from Prestwick, you know. So that 6 months had sort of been that transition between coming out of school and going to uni and being like, all right, we need to be a band that doesn't exist in just Kilmarnock anymore.
World,
Will that even work? Will that do anything? So yeah, so that was sort of the changeover, and then from probably the beginning of 2011, I mean, we still had no fucking clue what we were doing for years after that, but that was kind of when Fatherson started, and we tried to keep it in tandem with growing up.
And it must be quite hard as well to change the name, as you say. You've toured with these big bands like Feeder already, you're thinking, we're established.
Well, yeah, but then there's also the question of what is established. Do you know what I mean? Like, now we have a fairly decent route in Scotland and in the UK and some places in Germany, but it's like, for lots of things, it's that one song that takes people miles away, and any band could be that. There's a really interesting podcast called And the Writer Is, and there's a one with a guy called Jack Antonoff, who is now a producer. He's in a band called Bleachers, but he was in a band called, it was like Steel Train or Steel something, and they toured the States for like a decade, like relentlessly, like 150 shows a year, like to nobody, to everybody, to that, to probably get to about 1,000 cap size, maybe a bit bigger. And then he met these other two guys at the sort of back end of them doing that for a decade, and they started a band called Fun, and then they released that Some Nights and the as the bar closes and you feel like going down, I'll carry you home tonight. Right, so that Tonight song became #1 globally,
everywhere,
like overnight. It's just like that. It just took that one song, and all of those three guys in that Fun band had come from bands that had toured for a decade, like kind of with nothing, and then
suddenly
wrote these three songs, fucking blew up and stuff like that. So it's like at that energy point, I reckon, because being in a band and doing any arts and stuff, or like anything, like it's super important to you. That's why you do it. So in your head, it's a massive change for you changing your name, but in reality, it's not that much. Do you know? It's like we can't.
You overthink it almost.
It's like no one will ever know who we are.
Yeah.
And then the reality is that people go, oh, who's that band, Fatherson? And go like, oh, they used to be Energy. It's like, oh, cool, they changed their name.
Totally.
And that's the whole conversation.
Music, aren't they? They're not there for the name of the band. They're there for the
100%. They're there for the tunes. So if the tunes, if you can manage to carry the tunes over that folk enjoyed already, and then write better and better songs, then that sort of smoothed over that transition.
And you sold out Touch, you said, so was that before the Feeder tour or was that after that? Or?
That was after that. So...
Because I suppose when we were growing up, Feeder were a really big name, so when you got that, you must have been proper buzzing that.
Yeah, so we only did 2 shows with them, so it was like the Liquid Rooms in Edinburgh and then the Ironworks in Inverness. So I think that just sort of showed us how big gigs should be done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like how you carry yourself and
definitely.
And the thing that's been the big learning thing over our whole career is that watching other bands do things, and you go, oh, I would never thought to do it like that, or do you know, and that's this sort of like knowledge transfer that comes from that sort of by just watching it. So yeah, the feeder stuff was really good and going into that touch thing, but we'd always kind of been quite selective, and we also knew that in order to try and establish ourselves, getting to Glasgow was where we needed to be. Like, you'll know the same. It's like, I actually think Motherwell and Kilmarnock are very comparable, like in terms of like size of city and like just the way people are brought up. And everyone that I've met from Motherwell reminds me of people from Kelly and vice versa.
Yeah, and they both get, for the size of them and being so close to Glasgow, they both get decent, vibrant music scenes to some extent.
For sure. Yeah. This is where people grow up. People don't grow up in cities. Do you know what I mean? I always find it quite, as much as, I hate growing up, I hate that, like, you grumble about where you come from. It's like, I loved growing up in Kilmarnock. Like, loads of pals, and there was always gigs to go and do, and if the gigs weren't happening, there was this to doing stuff like that. So, like, you just grumble because you're young. I want to go and do something else. But it's like, it's where, like, I'd hate to have been raised in a city because it's too easy. Do you know, it's like, you had to go get a train. You had to, and you had to have enough money to get a train into town, or if you're going up to Glasgow, you need to be like, oh, you need to tell me where you are, because so it's like stress. But it's cool once you get there, because you feel like that sort of, so this is 20 minutes away. Kilmarnock's about the same. It's like
the big city,
the metropolitan big city. Do you know what I mean? So it gives you something to aspire to. I can imagine if you're like just in it, you become a bit numb to that aspiration.
Yeah. And like you says, it's like you've played all these gigs at school, you've played these gigs in the local town, so then to go and, as you says, everyone's turning up to them. Yeah, for sure. Then to go into Glasgow, it's a whole new audience you're almost playing to.
Definitely. And I think what we'd done kind of all through as being in school and stuff like that was we didn't play that many gigs, really. So we'd maybe do a gig in Kilmarnock a year, and maybe they did a festival in the summer, we'd maybe play that. They'd maybe play one gig in Glasgow a year. So we'd maybe, like, over the course of being like 15 to 18, we'd only play 10 gigs a year. Yeah. But that would mean those 10 gigs would be busy, rather than playing 50 gigs a year and folk going like, I can see them whenever, I'm not going to go see them. Which I think that attitude, which came from Mark, really, that was sort of his idea, then translated into moving forward. So like, maybe, so it's 2019 now, 2011. I reckon in the last 8 years, we've done less than 15 gigs in Glasgow. Like, probably about 10 or 12. Yeah. Which has helped us. Do you know? And so like, it was like, we did that touch show, and then we did another touch show as Fatherson in that new year, just to kind of establish the fact that was it. Then I don't think we played a show until 2014 in the Arches.
Did you do two in the Arches?
So we did one in the tiny wee room, I think.
And then moved to the bigger arch next to it?
And then moved to the bigger arch. I'm trying to... oh, no, we did, because we did a thing in the smaller arch. No, I don't know. Like, that's... I can't remember. I can remember there being 2 gigs in the Arches, but I can only really remember when we put the first album, I Am an Island, out. That was the first one I really remember, because we went a bit gung-ho, and we had like brass and strings and all that kind of stuff and everything, because we were like dead excited, and the first time we'd ever sold 700 tickets for it, do you know what I mean? So we were like, oh my god. We'd played the Garage the year before that, actually, now I'm thinking about it. But that was like, right, we're here, do you know what I mean? We're going to do this. And then we didn't play in Glasgow again until the second album came out. But that was ABC. So it was like, we'd gone from whatever the 700 tickets, and we doubled that to do ABC. And then later on that year, we did the Barrowlands for the first time. And then since then, we've done the Barrowlands again, and we've got the Academy coming up. But it's always been like, don't flood it, because we're sitting after 10 years and we've never had a hit, right? Yeah. So you need to know that your audience, as much as they're loyal...
Would you say that, though, you've not had a hit? Because you've brought out a lot of singles and...
Everything's done all right. Do you know what I mean? Everything's done pretty well. You're always dead hard on yourself because you're from the west of Scotland. Do you know what I mean? You're like, we've never done it, grumble, grumble, grumble. But
you must have songs that, you know, if you play at your shows, there's a couple that are going to be... Well, that's maybe opposite from yours. Yours have people tend to know the whole album.
Well, that's kind of it. So it's like, I think Touchwood we're quite lucky. We've never had, like, no one comes to a gig waiting for one song.
Yeah.
Which is great, but...
Because if you don't play it, then people are going away thinking that was...
I can't believe we didn't play that. It would be like Top Loader not playing Dancing in the Moonlight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, that is such a shit thing for that band that they can't go on. Like, you go to shows where people have had maybe like 3 or 4 albums out and then one big massive song, and the audience gets eclipsed from the first 3 albums, and people in the audience just talk until they play that song. So like, we're very fortunate that hasn't happened. So people come because we always wanted to be an album band, and people come to listen to the albums. But then we're so lucky to have a great fan base, like all up and down the UK, but you know, Glasgow's where our biggest thing is. So you don't like, I don't think it's very sound to get people to pay 50 quid a year to come see us. Do you know what I mean? Like, we'll do the Barrowlands in November, and then we'll do, like, even that, Barrowlands in November and Academy in May, it's quite, like, that's quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we're very fortunate that it's selling really well and it's probably going to sell out and stuff like that. But you don't want to rip the piss with people. Do you know what I mean? It's like, folk have got other things to do in their life than come see my band. Do you know? Like, as much as I think it's great, like, I appreciate the fact that it's like, your £20 ticket then becomes like £50 on drinks, and then if you're coming in from somewhere you need to get a cab or a hotel or do stuff. So it's like, it becomes £100 easy before you've even left the house, and it's like, I'm amazed that people want to come and do that. And what's been amazing that last tour we were just on there is people are coming and talking to us after the show, being like, that's my 12th, 15th, 20th, 25th. Do you know, it's like, that's crazy. There is something hopefully bubbling under the surface with us at the moment that's just waiting to go, because I love music and it's one of my favourite big passions in my life, but I have never seen anyone 15 times. Do you know what I mean? Apart from like bands you gig with and you do like stuff like, I've been on 20-day tours with bands and not even seen them 15 times. Do you know what I mean? So there's some sort of like...
So you don't watch the bands you tour with? Is that what you're saying?
No, but do you know what I'm saying? It's just
right.
like, that is an incredible thing that I still can't really get my head around. So that's my responsibility. Do you know, that's a responsibility as a band, is to like make music that this fan base that's been following us for years enjoy and sort of grown up with us, and we grow up with them, and that.
It is very responsible though. It's also selfless, because there's other bands out there that would, I mean, you said it yourself, you've got a dedicated fan base. People would come and see you 3-4 times within the year.
Yeah, for sure.
Know? And it's down to people like yourself to take that back step and say, hold on now, we shouldn't really flood it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, yeah, I think it just is about, you need some time as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you need to be like, cool, what are we going to do differently this time? What are we going to do for that this time? What are we going to do? And it allows you to go and play other places and stuff like that, and try and bring everything sort of up with it. Because we're like, there's lots of bands like that, as bands in Manchester. So we'll maybe do, I don't know, 2,500 tickets in Glasgow, about 1,000 tickets everywhere else in Scotland, and then it'll go down to as little as 100 tickets, in between 100 and 500, 600 everywhere else in the UK. So that's great, but it's like loads of bands are like that. So like, there's loads of Manchester bands that will do like the Ritz, which is like 2,000, 2,500, and then be playing 50 people in Newcastle and stuff like that. So it's trying to sort of suss out why that is. It's been interesting because I met loads of people who were in the States just there that are all in a similar position to us, whereas they're like pretty like established and big where they're from, and then they're kind of like nobody knows who they are once they cross the border or they get out of the north of England or that sort of stuff. So I reckon all our shows now are getting busier, and we're just starting to be able to put on tours that'll sell out. And I can't really understand why that switched. I'm very happy that it switched, but
Do you think it's just down to playing them more? 'Cause I suppose you've been playing Glasgow for 10 years.
I think it's just always working. I think that's been a thing that has also helped us, as well as that so we're on the verge that if we get it ready and we get another album out next year, that'd be like 4 albums in 5 years. I mean, so it's not been like we've released an album and then toured it for a year, then spent a year working on the next one, put it out, toured that for a year, and it's like it's always been non-stop.
Yeah.
So it's like I like that. I get to play the guitar for a living with my pals. Do you know what I mean? I'm not exactly gonna just be like, oh, I need a month just to like collect my thoughts. But it's just like it's crazy. But it's just about working hard. You know, it's the same as anything. If you want something, you need to put in your 10,000 hours or whatever it is.
Of course.
And just keep going for it.
And when you were writing that first album, what was your kind of process with that, Ross? Because you were, you'd come out the back of that Tuts gig, I suppose, and then you went into Wildy Wild, and did you just have like a record label, or were you have a manager? Or?
No, so we kind of had a guy who still works with us who manages Idlewild.
Is that how you got that too?
That's how we got that thing.
And was that the same guy who was saying to you, you need to change the name?
Yep. So that was him. And he's not a very forceful guy. He's definitely not. He's not like, you need to change the name. He was just like, guys, I think this would be a smart move for you.
Yeah.
So
more like an advisor rather than a
Well, that's
manager.
what he was for a couple of years, because we weren't really at a stage where we needed a manager, because we didn't have any tunes. Do you know what I mean? We had like some songs we had at school and then some other songs. I think that first album, in the same way that lots of people of our generation managed to do it, was that you just like, you got your whole life to write your first album, so you just go like, oh, how's that tune go down live, and how's that tune go down, how's that tune go down, and then you sort of pick and choose, and then you make your live show, and then by the time we came to do the first album, all of those songs, bar like 1 or 2, we'd been playing live for a year or 2.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So that sort of...
You've perfected them.
Well, that's it. You got to road test them, you go, oh, I really hate that, I don't really like how that does, I love this, I don't like that. So that was the sort of... First album was quite cohesive by accident, but it was basically just all the songs that we loved, that we had. Well, I would put an album out.
Okay.
I
suppose where you have been lucky in that is that you hear loads of bands that do their first album, then when they go to the second, they crash because they've not had all their life.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, second album syndrome happened to us as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that album did us loads of favours, and like I like it and stuff like that. But it was definitely like we pulled that together in like 90 days or something like that, from there being 2 songs to there being, I think it was like 12 songs on that album. So, and recorded. So we went down to my mum and dad's in Kilmarnock and just stayed there for 2 weeks and just was like, right, there's another song, and there's another song, and bang, 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 bang. Which is cool, it was dead exciting, but it never had that sort of breathing space to be able to like live with it or play gigs. I think that's the difficulty if you're a sort of live band. So I'd say we're a live band that records albums. So once you put an album out and people start coming to your gigs, you don't get to just test
the
stuff with things, because you know, it's the same. You buy a ticket, you go to the gig, and the guy goes, "Hey, here's a new one," and you're like, "Oh God, like I don't want a new one. I came
to listen to the ones I know."
So that becomes, the further and further into your career, I reckon, the more difficult that becomes, because hopefully, if it's all, you know, touch wood, going well, everything's getting busier and going that way. So you need to find some other way of road testing them almost.
Sure.
So with the third one, we recorded it all live with the studio in Ibrox. Or not really a studio. I don't know what it had been. It had been a grow, right? Basically, it had been a grow next to Ibrox. And
how did you know about it?
It was literally the only place that we phoned that phoned us back.
Not because it was a grow?
No. Not because it was a we did an interview actually with a guy and for the paper, and he was like, "Oh, did this place used to be a grow?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I think it might have been." And that was all the fucking articles just about the grow, and then he gave the address of the studio. It was like, "Oh, Fatherson built a recording studio." I was like, "Oh, class, now everyone knows where all my fucking stuff is." Thanks for doing that. But it used to be a grow. So because of that, the guy had taken out all the central heat and all that stuff. So it was fucking cold. It was so cold. And it was shared by this guy who ran a cryptocurrency. So just us and him in this building, and
What did he do in there?
he just had computers there.
Right.
They were like mining for Bitcoin or that sort of thing.
Sure.
So just us and him, and we just set up a live studio and demoed for like 9 months.
For the third album?
For the third album.
Yeah.
So that let us play it live, loads and loads and loads, and then listen to it and then go, oh, that could be that way, and then tweak it that way, kind of like what you would have done years ago, but going, oh, that was quite shite tonight, wasn't it? That's maybe just a bad song. Whereas you got to like peg stuff against each other and listen to them and be like, oh, that could be like this, it could be like that. So that was interesting and good. But yeah, second album was difficult, and I think that happens to lots and lots of people because, oh, class, that's my phone going. I think there's that sort of heightened pressure, even if it's not really come from anywhere. Also, the second album was the first time we'd ever put it out on a label.
Right.
So like the first album we put out on our own label. So our manager Michael and other manager Bruce started a management company called A Modern Way.
And is that Bruce Rintoul?
No, Bruce Craigie.
Cool.
Different Bruce.
Because you recorded a lot of your demos with Bruce Rintoul.
And the first two albums.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, good my little boy.
That's
or
it.
Wishy.
Wishy. We're not letting him in here.
There's no yeah, but that was great. I think meeting Bruce was a massively important and influential part of all of our lives, to be honest. So at the time he was working in a place called Lo-Fi Studios.
It's just off George Square, eh?
Yeah, just underneath. So it's in an old, the rehearsal rooms and stuff are in old bank vaults underneath George Square. And he was working in there, and he'd done a few things that we'd listen to. We'd played a couple of gigs with a band called Cities and Skylines, and we really liked how that sounded. Yeah. So I think he ended up coming along to one of those gigs, and then we just met. But I was maybe, I don't know, 16 or 17, and he would have been about, I don't know, 21 or so. And yeah, just set off, just became best pals. So I think I was coming up, I used to teach guitar on a Tuesday, and I'd get like 30 quid for it, and I would get the bus up to Glasgow and we'd go to Buff Club, and then I'd get the midnight bus back to Kilmarnock, like absolutely steaming, and get up and go to school. Or if I missed it, I'd need to get the train back from Glasgow in the morning to go straight to school. I was like, absolutely steaming. But that was fun. Like we just like hung about, and we did an EP, and we did some singles, and we just, I felt like at that point we just recorded all the time. Mm-hmm. Like you save up 250 quid or 300 quid or whatever, and you go, I'm going to go and record some money, some music. So yeah, and then he came on the road with us, and he did our live sound, and then did the first album in Gorbal Sound in Glasgow, and then I co-produced the second album with a guy called Adam Perry in Rockfield Studios in Wales, which is like the Black Sabbath studio and Bohemian Rhapsody and all that sort of stuff. So that was class. That was definitely an amazing experience to go spend. I think we did 13 days there. We just lived there, and yeah, made that. So that was class. Brilliant. And that was fun to do with Bruce as well, because at that point he'd been, so we would have been, what, 23, 20? Yeah, we'd been working with each other for like 6 years by that point. We've been friends with each other for like 6 years by that point.
And it's a lot easier when you're friends with someone, isn't it? Because I suppose if they're recording it and producing it, they want to have a lot of influence on the songs as well.
Oh yeah, I think a part of that comes quite a lot of stress, I think, because it's that responsibility we were talking about earlier. It's like nobody wants to put a foot wrong for each other.
Yeah.
Because you're like, then you second guess yourself because you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm sure about that sort of thing. So what is easy about that is that you don't need to worry really about hurting each other's feelings. So if you go,
because you've got that trust there already.
Yeah, you're like, I don't like that. And you're like, I don't like that. So then you can at least be honest with each other. But yeah, that was a crazy thing. And I think just even as we guys, do you know what I mean, to be like, we're in this mad studio making music because that's what we all do.
That's brilliant.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really amazing. And
so did you fund your first album yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Crepe Scotland.
Crepe Scotland.
Crepe Scotland. So we applied. I don't know if it's still a thing.
Still do it, aye. I
Still
don't
do
know
it.
if you know the band Sudden Burst of Colour from Motherwell. They've just recently applied to Creative Scotland, and I believe they've got a grant to do
amazing.
their first album. So
That's incredible.
what an opportunity for young bands as well, you know.
It's really, I think it's one of, I mean, that Creative Scotland do a lot of great things, but I really think that's one of the things, because one of the best things to do. Because like loads and loads and loads of people have used it for their first album.
Yeah. And it's really kicked them off as well. And I suppose without them, there'd be a lot of bands from Scotland that just wouldn't have made it.
Well, definitely, it's definitely good that they see how big an opportunity that is for people, and how much of a barrier it is for some people to make records. So, yeah, so the demo fund is there. I think you can get up to £10,000 or something like that.
Brilliant.
So I think we got like £3,000 maybe. But part of the application comes that you have to be funding half or a third yourself or something like that. So you have to give a budget for the whole project, and you have to have enough. So I reckon we probably, with gigs and just saving up jobs, stuff like that, I think we probably managed to do that first album for about £8,000. And that was maybe even including getting them pressed and stuff
That's
like
good.
that. So it was good. And Gorbo Sound had just opened, so they'd given us a bit of a deal, and yeah,
It's a great studio as well, isn't it?
it's also
unbelievable.
really very, very good. Which we recorded the drums for the second album there as well, actually. But yeah, that the Creative Scotland funding was really, really crucial for us to be a band. You know, it's like it's that first hurdle. You don't just have 10 grand sitting about. Do you know? And if you did, you buy a house. I mean, you'd be like, I'm going to go record my guitars. So I think coming into from that, then to doing the second album and the third album, we've always sort of had that ethos of like, money gets away with you with things. Do you know what I mean? You can just, like, if you're not careful, you can just spend and spend and spend and spend and spend in all aspects of your life.
You hear these crazy horror stories of bands that have spent months in studios and racked up millions of pounds worth of
Exactly.
debt, yeah.
It's crazy. But that also comes, like, I think that is an irresponsibility of the people that look after you. Do you know? Because the reason you have managers and people that are maybe older or more experienced in the music industry that work with you is because you want them to be looking out for you. Do you know? You don't want them to be like fucking geared up and just like not caring and spending all your money. So you want to have people you can trust.
Surely your manager knows your budget and that's what you should be sticking to. Yeah.
100%. You shouldn't just be like, oh, they're feeling themselves. It's like, they can't even feel themselves for 15 grand a month. They just can't do it. It's not possible. So horror stories happen all the time where people... But then most of those horror stories result in people just getting dropped, which is also like a big crush. Do you know what I mean? Like if you... I think the way that we were brought up, it was like, oh, you play gigs and then you get a manager, and then once you get a manager, you get a record label, and then once you get a record label, you know, you get a record deal and you do it stuff. It's like all of these things seem to be on this mad pedestal. So when things happen, that people getting dropped is such a heartbreak, because you're like, oh my god,
You're not good enough.
I had this opportunity and I wasted it, or like I gave the best I could get, but it just didn't work and it wasn't good enough. Which sucks. Imagine like feeling like that. That's such a like. No wonder people's mental health is all messed up in the music industry and stuff like that. If everyone's balancing off a knife edge like that.
Yeah.
Do
you feel like there's a lack of security there?
Yeah, in the music industry. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I spoke to the La Fontaines yesterday, or a few days ago, and they were saying, you know, we've got this reality check that we know that tomorrow we could all be working in building sites, and it's not.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's heartbreaking in a way, isn't it? Because bands like them and like yourself, they put so much time and effort into this, and we've got so many fans all over the country and all over Europe to a certain extent as well. But people aren't buying CDs.
No. I think, but it's like what I was saying about the song. It's about the song. Do you know what I mean? It's about that, like, that's going to carry it. So it's just about trying to work out how to do that. Do you know? It's like there's loads of bands. We're not in a unique, novel position where we've released 3 albums. There's loads of bands that, like Fleetwood Mac, do you know what I mean? You'd be like, that band is an absolutely massive, worldwide successful band. And then, like, Rumours was like their 5th album. Do you know what I mean? Or 6th album. Do you know, they've got like a crazy back catalogue where they've been doing it. So it's not like, by any means, not going to happen. That's not what
Are you saying your 5th album's going to be better than Rumours?
Yeah, I bloody hope so. I need it to be, instead of me wanting a building site. Imagine that. I think I'd get chewed out on a building site.
I think you'd be alright.
Yeah,
as long as you
right.
wear a hard hat and tied your hair down.
I'd shave my head. Definitely.
Would you really?
I'd shave my head and I'd wear full-length trousers.
I'd quite like to see you in high vis.
Oh God, I was going to bring my bike today. I would have been in full high vis.
True. So you're on a record label just now,
Mhm.
and do they say to you at the start of like a tour or an album, we want you to sell X amount, or how does that kind of work? Or do they just say, here's the funds to go and record your album and let's see how it goes? Is there a bit of freedom there?
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky. That's pretty much the latter is kind of what we've been able to deal with. So our label went from being an imprint of Sony. So an imprint is basically like an independent record company that works within the framework and under the
Sony
umbrella,
brand.
yeah, under that. So with that, you have a small team with that label that gets to utilise all the services of the major record label, or a branch of that called Sony Red Essential. In the period of time between Open Book and some of your parts coming out, that changed. So the label, the parent label we were signed to, bought another company and became a thing called The Orchard, which was the biggest independent online music distributor in the world. So now we have a deal with The Orchard, but our imprint then bought all their rights to not be... So we're on an independent record label now that runs through The Orchard, whereas we run an imprint of a... It's essentially the same label, except...
Changed hands.
Yeah, it's better for us. So yeah, they're really cool. They're called Easy Life, and it's run by a guy called Jamie Osman. And yeah, he's a dude. He's always been cool to hang out and just be like, okay, let's just make some music. And he gets it. Do you know what I mean? It's just taken a while.
What would they class as a success, I suppose, would they be?
Well, everyone
question,
wants
I
to make
suppose.
their money back.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's the thing. The music industry is a crazy landscape, whereas where maybe streaming changed that a bit, but in maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you'd sign 10 bands and maybe one would make enough money to pay for the other 10 bands.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I think because of that, loads of artist development stopped happening. So it'd be like, okay, one and done sort of thing. Like I've got loads of pals that got signed to a label, put out one record, it didn't sell 1 million copies, and that was
They're
it.
off.
That career was done. So we've been really lucky, and also quite.
But is it lucky? Because as you say, you're working 250 days of the 365 with...
Yeah, but that's like that's just what you should be doing.
But there's also a bit of creating your own luck, in my opinion. You know.
Definitely. I think you got to work hard, you got to meet people, you got to just network, you got to be in the right place at the right time. There's so many extenuating factors. There's so many amazing songs that never get heard. Do you know what I mean? So many of my favourite songs were not like blockbuster success songs, but some of my least favourite songs were. And then, you know, you've got there's been some amazing songs, so it's just like, as much as you make your own luck, it's luck.
Yeah.
You know, the whole fucking thing. So we've been lucky enough to have this label that have wanted to be along with the journey with us, which has meant that we, instead of, when we were 18 or 19, somebody, a record company that will be nameless, offered us like a massive amount of money to sign a record deal. Like, at that point, we were like maybe 19, I was like, holy shit, that's...
What are you thinking? Let's take this, let's jump on it.
Yeah, I was like, alright, cool. And then we read the terms and stuff like that, and it was basically like, at the end of this exuberant, like, for example, £250,000, right? It wasn't far off. The most amount of money I've ever seen written down ever, right? And it's like, at the end of the day, your advance from this £500,000, £250,000 record deal is 12.5 grand. And we're like,
Where's the rest of it going?
Those £500,000. And then you looked into it and it was like 30 grand a year goes on accounts, and this goes on that, and that goes on that, and that goes on that. And that's when I really felt the benefit of having someone to talk to, like manager wise, because that would have been like career over. Like, it was a shit record deal that looked like an amazing record deal.
The way they'd packaged it up.
So we were like, no. And at that point, we were like, we're not going to chase a record deal. We're not going to like go down to London all the time and try and look for a record deal. We're just not going to do that. If somebody wants to sign us, they'll come and see us. And I think it took 3 years. It took just after we released I Am an Island. We had a few things come in for that as well, and we were like, it just didn't make any sense. We were like, we'd be losing money from what we're doing on our own if we signed with you. So yeah, we never just really chased it. Never really chased a booking agent. Never really chased a publisher. Never really went and hustled that much. And then people sort of cottoned on and started calling us up, which was great. It's much better position to be in, with people wanting to sign you than you being like, hey,
looking for it, tapping the door.
Yeah. So that would always be my advice to anyone that's in anything like that. It's just like, if you believe in what you're doing and what you're doing is good, and there's other people that believe in what you're doing, then something will come of that.
Yeah.
It won't go unnoticed. And luckily in our case it didn't. So yeah, we just put out that last album on Easy Life again, and fingers crossed we'll get to put another record out with them as well.
Good.
But it's a great team, and that's what it all is. Just build a family around what you do. So there's like maybe 12 people that work with this band now, like across the world, and it's class because we know them. Do you know what I mean? So we just went to New York there and met everyone from the publisher and went out for dinner, and they came to the show and we did that and stuff like that. So it's like faces to names, and just like, oh cool, next time I'm in New York. But like,
but there will be next time.
But next time I'm in New York, I'll go like, how you doing? Do you want to go for coffee or whatever? And that you're no longer a name on an email chain or like on their list of bands they look after and stuff like that. So I think the music industry has to be personable, and I think sometimes when you're young, I remember as we were talking, so we just did a festival called South by Southwest, and one in New York called the New Colossus Festival.
Is that the first time you've done South by Southwest?
No, it's the second time.
Okay.
But the first time, and this is where it's mad, this is where your ego comes into it, right? Because like, obviously, just whatever size fish and whatever size pond you're in, but like, when you're a wee guy, you think you're the shit. You're like, I'm class, man. I'm gonna go on, I'm fucking class.
And then when you get booked to play a festival you must think, oh my god, I'm king here.
Exactly. Fucking no.
And then you go there and there's all these other bands that think,
I'm so much better. There's so many more folk playing and go to see them. You're like, oh, come on. So I just ended up not utilising that experience because I was like waiting for people. That's the big difference between, I think, UK and America. It's like over there we're just waiting for people to come speak to us and waiting for people to come to shows and that
you
sort
need
of
to
stuff.
network.
You just need to hustle. You just need to blag it. Just be like, oh, do you want to see the best band in the world? They're on in there in 20 minutes. And it's me. Do you know what I mean? So,
and Americans will love that.
Well, that's
like
it. So
Scottish folk would be like, get yourself.
But I think that's a part of the difficulty as well, is that you're raised to think that folk that do things like that and are actually really care about what they do and really passionate, it's fucking lame. Like, that's stupid, listen to him. Like,
that's over there, they think, they build it up, they buy into that.
100%. You could be doing nothing. You could be a superstar, do you know what I mean? You could tell them you're a superstar. No, not really, but like, I think that is a barrier. Ego and confidence and belief in what you do is a barrier that I think got put up when I was younger by just hanging about with folk. Cause it's not really, I don't know, you just don't want folk to brag, because folk that brag get slagged off, and folk that brag go, oh, did you fucking hear Ross, man? He's on that band, he's fucking such a dick.
It's got in his head. It's got in his head.
Well, that's totally it. But it should go to your head. You should, do you know what I mean? You should be allowed to be like proud of yourself a bit, and you should be allowed to do that kind of stuff. And I think once you get that through your head, things become so much easier because you beat yourself up for being proud of yourself.
But you must have moments as well. I remember coming to see you at Barra's in November, was it?
Yeah.
And you were really emotional.
Oh, for sure.
And that must have been, you might build yourself up to this, but then that's the reality there, this means so much to me.
Yeah, it's
And it's cool in a way to let yourself go as well and admit that, how much this feels.
Oh, of course. Like, I think, I've been very fortunate to grow up playing in this band. Do you know what I mean? And it's been the focus of what I've done with my life so far. So it's good to, like, also allow yourself to take stock of that and be like, that's fucking sold out of Barrowlands. Mm-hmm. That's class. Do you know, like, I've came to see all the gigs I ever wanted to see when I was younger, and even now, as soon as I know someone's playing the Barrowlands, I'm definitely going to see it. Mm-hmm. And this time it's me that's doing that. Like, and there might be some wee guy or girl in the crowd that plays in the band that goes like, oh, man, one day I want to play in that venue. Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there thinking,
exactly.
I was going to check him, what bastard.
But it is.
Aye.
But I think
for me, it felt so much more special watching someone from that kind of town, from that city, playing in that venue, because you see how much it means to them. And it's
it's a Barrowland Ballroom.
Aye.
There's nowhere like it on the planet. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's cool.
Think that, because you've been everywhere.
Yeah, I definitely think there's places, and you speak to people, and speaking to international bands and or bands from anywhere outside of Scotland about Scottish crowds and stuff like that. Every gig you go to, you're like, this is the best audience we've ever had, and everyone goes like,
oh, very good.
That's class. But people legitimately go, oh, where are you from? From Glasgow. Like, that's the best audience. Like, any night of the week, you'll play. And it rings true, because when you go and play in front of everyone, it's like,
you're right up for it.
It's Glasgow and Edinburgh and pretty much anywhere in Scotland, folk go like, they're there to have a good time, instead of have their arms crossed and be like, that's very cool music,
Is there any cities you've played in that come close, or what do you like doing?
Come close.
You really do well in Germany as well, don't you?
We had a really good show in New York there, actually, that was pretty similar. And anywhere, Middlesbrough is always class.
Really?
It's brilliant. Like, really good. Anywhere on Teesside. North of England. Some nights in the south of England you had it and everyone will be like going crazy, and then some nights they're a bit more reserved. But I think the lucky thing about us is that we're seeing people come for like the whole album, so you'll just end up, even if people are being quiet, everyone's kind of still singing along to it, and we kind of managed to like go up and down rooms and people like pretty much everyone in the audience is singing. So it's like been this crazy thing that's followed this band from the beginning, is that people know the words and connect with it somehow and become and come to the show, and that's the release. They just like sing in a weird hipster choir for like an hour and a half or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. Would you say your fans are hipsters then?
No, but I definitely someone gave us a review saying that a Fatherson show was hipster choir practice once, and I was like, that's hilarious.
That's quite good.
No, we've a very
I think it's quite an old audience as well, eh?
Yeah. It's kind of like, I'd say probably 16 to 60. Like pretty much everywhere. There's a guy came with his daughter to a show in Newcastle. So his daughter was maybe 17 or 16, 17, and he was maybe 50-ish, and he'd made his own t-shirt, and he said like, not your target audience, so he made his own Fatherson t-shirt. And I was like, that's it's just a great sense of humour. He's like, I know that she loves it, but I love it too, so like I just let her, she dances with her pals and stuff like that. And
imagine going with your dad and he's wearing that t-shirt. No. Can you take that off, mate?
I think he had it hidden under his jacket until again, and then he couldn't take it off. But yeah, we've been very lucky, like, and that spans across, everywhere. You think maybe the older audience would come from certain bands that we've supported in the UK and stuff like that, but then you go to somewhere you've never been before, and there'll be an age range of like 30 years. Like we did a show in Copenhagen, and beautiful venue. It was absolutely beautiful. The Hotel Cecil. It looked like kind of Great Gatsby, Wolf of Wall Street. It was like, it was class. So you could have fit about 900 people in there. So the 40 folk that were the gig really loved it. But that was like, when you see it like that microcosm of like between like maybe like 21 years old and 50 years old across a breadth of like 40 people. You're like, oh, really weird spread. You would think that with it being that amount of people, it would be like
Similar ages.
loads from so it would be like, oh, every 25 to 30 year old within these 30 people likes his band and wants to come see it. So yeah, weird.
You've toured with some big bands as well, eh?
We've done some cool shows. We did a really good tour a few years ago with We Were Promised Jetpacks. That was like our first European tour.
They seem to have really hit it off in America as well, don't they?
They're massive in America. I reckon they're probably bigger in America than they are over here. Because they had a bunch of really great syncs. And they were on a label for a while called Fat Cat that were a US label that had a UK label as well. Okay. So that's who like Frabbits and stuff were on.
Right.
So yeah, but they're brilliant. I think they consistently bring out great music. And then we toured with an American band called Augustines as well, that were great as well. That was that was probably the most beneficial tour we've done, yeah.
In what respect were you?
Just like, really similar audience, really big shows, some really beautiful venues. There was a place in Leipzig in Germany, and we played a venue called the UT Konowitz, and it's a theatre that hasn't been changed since like 1910 or something like that. Right. So it's all like falling apart, but it's like the most picturesque place I've ever been.
A lot of character to it.
It was absolutely stunning. So that was like the first night of that tour, and then we got to play in loads of great places. We played in a TV studio in Austria and played in just loads of great places, and like their fan base, it's very akin to what we were doing. And we get to go out and play those places now, and there's people go, oh, I saw you at the Augustine's tour, or I saw you in the Jetpacks tour, and they're still coming back and bringing friends.
I'm very jealous you've got your own bottle of Iron Brew.
How mad is that?
Sitting here with this,
I know.
And you've picked a Diet Coke.
Yeah, I know.
You ungrateful bastard.
I know, because my blood is basically in a brew now. Yeah, that was really weird. I definitely got outed, so like...
I remember sitting on Facebook one day and it popped up, Ross Leighton is doing the Scottish Cup draw or something, and I was like, click live.
That's always been a mad thing, because I'm like not very football-y at all. Never have been. So I recently did a thing for the BBC called A View from the Terrace, it's called. So it's like a BBC Scotland's new like football show and stuff. And they were getting people to do like their hometown or whatever team they support and stuff like that. I ended up doing Scotland, right? Because I was like, right, I can't do that. Because if I did Paper Roses, there's at least 100 people in command that'd be like, you've been to fucking one Kelly game, man. Like, why are you doing Paper Roses like you're a big massive Kelly fan? So I didn't want to get rumbled for that, so I just did Caledonia. But yeah, we've always had this real affiliation. I like not knowing was like the Scottish Rugby World Cup a couple of years ago was like the cutaway scene, and then there's a song called Lost Little Boys on Open Book that was some like played in all the Scottish all the SPL clubs like grounds at one point over that season and stuff like that. So we've always had a really good connection with football, and that Iron Brew Cup draw was amazing.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, just such a weird thing to do, and be like, cool. And for
who were you doing it with again? It was someone random, wasn't it?
I can picture his face. Billy Dodds.
Right.
Was it Billy Dodds?
I think it might have been.
Who was so basically we did a dress rehearsal of it, right?
There wasn't any hot and cold balls, was there?
No, it wasn't. That would have been so good. we did this dress rehearsal through, and Gavin Mitchell asked me a question, and he was like, do you think anyone else will be, who do you think the rock stars of the competition will be, was the question he asked me, right? So, and
it was the Iron Brew Cup, so it was the lower leagues, wasn't it?
So I asked Billy, I was like, can you give me some advice, something to say that will make me look like an absolute idiot, because I'm going to say something about Kelly, but I need something else to say, right? It's like, well, Inverness won it last year, right? So blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool. So I said, oh, do you know, well, Inverness did this and blah, 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 blah. And then it was about to go live. So half an hour before we did it as a dress, and then all the teams came in, and it was like countdown 10 seconds, right? So he's on one side, and I'm on the other side of Gavin, the guy who's in the middle, the compere guy, and he comes around the back and goes, that was a really good bit about Inverness. I'm going to use it. 5, 4, 3,
no.
2, 1. His question was before me, so he says this thing, and I'm like, I can't believe it. So word for word he said it, right? So I can't believe it, and I was like, I'm going to have to echo what Billy said there, and I just repeat what he said. I was like, oh, fair play. Like, you did me a belter there.
That's
It was horrible. But it was good. That was funny. And then they gave us all our own brew.
That's amazing, eh?
Which is
Have you
mad.
kept it?
Yeah, of course.
You can't drink that.
I
can you?
can't, of course. It's like we've had a few things over the years. So this German company made us their own beer as well.
No way.
So we got like a branded beer. And
Did you get a gold tenants?
no, I don't have a gold tenants can.
No.
I've seen a few people have been getting them on that big Juicy Appreciation Society.
Hilarious.
the best page on Facebook. No, I haven't got a golden can yet. But I did go to something in the tennis brewery.
That's why I thought that. I remember seeing you doing something with tenants.
We've done a few things. We'll end up doing something again as well because we're doing this cooking show. So I'm trying to pitch a cooking show to BBC at the moment, but we sort of did this cooking with Fatherson thing a couple of times. So we made like an iron brew burger, and we made chicken wings and a Christmas dinner and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I think we might do some sort of like beer battered thing, and it'll be from Tenants maybe.
And they've got that cooking academy in there as well at the Tenants Brewery, so it
I
makes
reckon
sense, doesn't
we'll
it?
do something like that. So we're just about to do a pizza one because we're about to launch a bunch of merch that is cooking with Fatherson.
Right.
It's going to be fun class. I'm really looking forward to it.
What's your signature dish?
And my signature dish. We were actually talking about this yesterday, right? I'm going to ask you a question. If you had a food truck,
Yeah.
what would it be and what would it be called? What would you make?
I'd have Derek's Deli.
Derek's Deli?
And I would make... I'm terrible at cooking. And I only eat pizzas, so I'd have to have pizzas.
Pizza.
But then delis don't really do pizzas, do they?
Would be confusing.
If it was like called Pedro or something, Pedro's pizzas. That
Pedro's
would be
Pizza.
But you know what you're
Derek's
going
deep dish.
Oh.
That'd be pretty good.
Derek's deep fried pizzas.
Derek's Pizza Crunch, man.
Can run the streets of Mallow selling pizza crunch.
That'd be so cliche.
As soon as you could smell it coming down the street.
Exactly. What am I going to have? Pizza Crunch again. I'm going to Derek's.
The same folk coming out every night.
Just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
You'd have to sell fags as well to make any money.
And iron brew. Fags, iron brew, Pizza Crunch.
Unpersonalised iron brew. What would you call yours?
Stroganoff the beaten track. Right. And I just make stroganoff.
Shut up. I don't think you could sell that at a van though in Kilmarnock.
I don't think you could, but I'd try. I'd move up the ranks. I'd go from like local stroganoff van, and then I'd go into the big city. I'd try that out, and then I'd just end up at festivals and shit like that.
That would be class.
Yeah.
And you could play acoustic out your stroganoff.
Oh, 100%. I'd have to. If the music dies, I'd be the singing fucking
Sitting on the
stroganoff guy. Yeah, stroganoff the beaten track.
That's
It's
good.
gonna happen.
Aye. How good's your stroganoff though?
Oh, amazing. I made a mushroom and tarragon stroganoff 2 days ago. Not but 2 days ago. It's
Really?
delicious. Yeah. I love it. Easiest food in the world.
Do you cook all the time?
Yeah. All of us cook all the time.
But I seen you on tour and you were trying different burgers every night.
Yeah, well, sometimes that just ends up...
I suppose you can't cook on tour, can you? It's not like...
Well, sometimes we do tour like a gas portable like camping stove, and we used to do like a microwave, stuff like that. So you could be like...
Yous are hipsters.
100%. No, we're
And
fucking
so,
skint.
and so's your crowd.
Exactly. It's just been being skint forever. It's just going like, cool, I can spend £8 on my dinner tonight, you can spend £8, or we could go for £15, we can pretty much get a week shopping. So let's go, can we feed 5 people or 6 people? So there's the 3 of us on tour, and then usually another 3 or 4 people as well. So it's like, how can we feed 7 people for 20 quid?
Mm-hmm.
And that became, we had a George Foreman and a microwave. So you would George Foreman whatever, and you'd make rice or potatoes or pasta or whatever in the microwave, and that would get, or you'd make big toasties for everyone, stuff like that. So it's always been like at the forefront of us going on tour, because it's like, it's ridiculous, because you just end up going out for dinner all the time.
Aye.
It's like this big bougie holiday you can't afford. It's not class. And then you come
It must
home.
be hard. That'll have taken you years to realise that, though, or do you
For sure. Like, it took us a couple of years to be
especially when you're going away that young.
yeah, you're like, oh, class, I'll do that. Why eat chips? You know, if I can come home, you're like 20 stone heavy. You're like, and then also you come home and folk go, oh, nice. Or your bird goes, oh, that's nice, we'll go out for dinner. It's like, I don't want to go out for dinner. I want to sit in my kitchen and I want to cook. I just want plain pasta. I don't want anything with any flavour in it. I've got so much salt and fat and stuff going about my body. I need to detox. I want a salad leaf and a cup of tea. That's all I want.
That's it.
So we've been trying to like take that out with us. So we'll make like the tacos or something like that, and everyone. It just makes it interesting.
Sure.
If you're on tour with another band, you can both club together, and it means everyone's like eating with each other as well, which is like one of those weird ships in the nights things that happen when you tour with bands. It's like if you're on, so say there's two of you playing, they're on at 9, you're on at 8 or whatever. You kind of don't really see them because you're sound checking when they're having their dinner, and then vice versa, and then you're packing down until about halfway through their show. And you might be staying 20 miles away. Sure. So you might be like, oh cool, I'll see you later, and then you leave. So we found that maybe on days off or like days where we're in the same venue twice on the same site, we'll be able to be
nice to catch up with them.
Yeah, have a bit of munch and go like, oh cool, we're cooking this. Let's all try and sound check early that day.
And
so
you're
we can all
coming
get
for
dinner
some
with
beef
each other.
stroganoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. You mentioned your girlfriend there. How's she? Were you going to be quite a lot? Because I can imagine it can be quite a straining relationships at times.
I think as long as you keep an open line of dialogue, then there's nothing really much more you can do.
Sure.
We just had it there where we moved into a flat in August, end of August, beginning of September, and then we put the album out and I left essentially until November, second week in November or whatever. And then it was Christmas, and then we were recording, had a bunch of real stressful stuff at the beginning of the year, and then we went on tour again for another month. And just before I left on that tour, our landlord called us to say that he was selling the place and that we had 28 days. And I was like, dude, in 28 days, I will be in Texas. You're going to need to give us more time because Abby was starting this new job. She was basically about to start a full-time job about 3 weeks into me being away. And I was like, my balls will be in a vice, man. You cannot possibly, we're going to need an extension. And lucky they were sound, but they were like, cool, we'll give you another week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever. But it was just a bit like, we moved into this new place, and I was like, I was in that last flat and actually there for 3 months, probably less than that, over the space of the 6 months. I was like, you've essentially been living on your own.
Yeah.
And I think that is the thing, because when you get older and it's just maybe you and your bird you live with, and then you leave for 6 months of the year,
you can
it's quite a difficult thing to sign up for. Luckily, this isn't a new thing in my life or in her life. So when we started going out with each other, I left for 2 months and then come back, and then we probably started out with each other. And I was around and I was away for 3 months. So it's just like,
I thought you were going to say luckily I'm not only good looking.
Exactly, not only good looking. Yeah, that's why she stays around, because I'm gorgeous. But it's always been a part of a relationship. Does that make it any easier? No. But at least it's not. At least it hasn't been like we've been going out with each other for a couple of years and I've gone, I'm going to start playing in a band and I'll be gone. And it's basically just, from the outside looking in, it's just me and my pals getting steaming and travelling and just doing whatever, and you can sort all the bills out and you can find us a new place to live.
But the reality is you're working.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And to say that it's not fun would be a lie, but to say that sometimes it's not really difficult would also be a lie.
Yeah.
But she's cool with it. She's doing a lot of stuff. She's going to be doing a lot of travelling as well. So I think my big thing when we started going with each other was basically anything that you want to do, just do it. What's the point? It's like folk going I didn't want to go and get that amazing job in Manchester because my bird was she was to be upset. I was like, shut up, she's not the right bird for you then. Fuck that. If you can't support each other to do what you want to do,
the point?
What is the point? We're lucky, we're young, we don't have any kids, we don't have not that I wouldn't want a mortgage, but we don't have a mortgage at the moment. So it's just the only thing that's tying you down is what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very utopian image of how life works. But it's just like, if you come home and you're like, oh, I need to move to Shrewsbury for 6 months first thing in my job, be like, cool, just work
Go
it
and do
out.
it. Aye.
Like, it's fine. I can probably move to Shrewsbury because I'm only going to be there for 3 months anyway, or a month, and then I'm going to leave anyway. So it's like,
I tend to agree with you, but I do think that there's a lot of people out there, the majority of people that kind of, they become institutionalised and think, you know, that's the way life is.
You need money. You need money to survive, right? The be all and all. You need to do that. And it becomes how much money is your minimum amount of money to live on. It's like, I play in this band and I love it, but I don't make a massive living.
Yeah.
But the living is offset by the fact that I get to go to like 20 countries a year. So it's not like I don't save up for a holiday per se.
You're always
like,
on holiday.
I'm always on holiday.
Right.
So it's like, so there's a sort of trade-off for that. Does that, in terms of relationship, go like, I'm going to all these countries and I don't know if I can really give you a week because I don't know what I'm going to be doing that week to go on holiday. That's the stressful part.
Stressful.
It's not being able to plan. It's having someone that has a certain amount of time off and you have essentially an endless amount of time off that always gets filled at the most inopportune time.
Of course.
So you go like, oh cool, we're going to go that holiday, let's book all the flights and stuff like that. You go, oh, I've got 2 gigs and I can't not do them. So
it's a big sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah. Being in a band is hard in that respect. Is that, especially being in a band sort of our size, do you know, so it's like everything's always on the line and we're always trying to get to that next level and we're always trying to do that. So like every opportunity doesn't get squandered, but that might be at the detriment of something else.
What's the future plans then, apart from writing the next Rumours?
We're going to write the next Rumours and then I reckon the next Born to Run, I think.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so I think we'll either do one first and swap them about or something like that. Whatever.
Next
Whoever one gets is famous and successful and rich.
It's going to happen though,
I get to enjoy making music with my friends. And for as long as we get to enjoy doing that, I'll continue to enjoy doing that.
Sure.
So I think the plan is we have the Academy in May, on the 18th of May. A couple of shows in London, a few shows with that band, the Future Heads.
Oh yeah.
Which is going to be class. A couple of shows with the Proclaimers.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
So we've got one in Inverness and one in Melrose.
Brilliant.
But they're amazing. It's like, but they've obviously the Proclaimers sell out everywhere, so they're like 5,000-6,000 capacity in both of those places.
Was it the glasses? Is that why they got you in?
Yeah, so the long lost nephew or whatever that'll be. So I need to get so I could cut a flat forward or whatever. So yeah, we've got that. We've got a bunch of shows. We're going to the Ukraine actually.
Right.
We're playing a show, which is like we're on the main stage of this festival in Ukraine.
Brilliant.
How did that happen?
Aye.
You know what I mean? Cool. So I think we're going over there for 3 days or 4 days to play. It's quite a heavy festival. I think Sepultura are headlining it,
Right, okay.
which isn't exactly
Aye.
the Indishman
See
Day
how you go
Fatherson
down,
vibe. So when we turn up in the pastel suits, I think we'll get fucking
You might get bottled off.
Exactly. But getting bottled off in Ukraine's at least a story to tell.
Exactly.
As long as it doesn't actually give us brain damage. So yeah, just mad stuff. Like it's just mad stuff.
And a cooking show.
And a cooking show. So doing the cooking show. I'm down in London a lot, writing with people and doing stuff. And yeah, the future's bright.
Good.
The future's orange.
Thanks very much for
Aye,
coming
very
on.
welcome.
Very much appreciated.
Lovely.
Nice one. Thanks very much to Ross for coming on. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in. You can check Ross and his band out online. Just search for Fatherson. And you can check this podcast out online, but you'll probably know where to find that if you're already watching it. Cheers. And on that note, so we'll see you later.